What up, though, people? It is Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for choosing to kick off the day with the Woo Crew. And yo, listen, man. This is a victory show delayed because those darn Detroit Pistons, man, they find themselves now in a position where if they beat the Hawks, they can move into 6th place. And you know what, Flannel Sam?
Yes.
SHAQ told Cade Cunningham to his face, I know that you're an all-star a couple days after he said, heck,
great interview last night. That was a great interview by the NBA on TNT last night.
It was awesome to see the entire Detroit Pistons community, Flannel Sam, just kind of rally behind this thing, KG. Like, it was dope. Pistons world lit up last night behind our star. Our star,
Cade Cunningham. And you know what? We had a lot of business to take care of yesterday, talking about Ben Johnson being the Bears head coach now, and we took a lot of phone calls. We got a lot of interaction about that, so we weren't able to get to the Pistons victory at Houston on MLK Day, but we will talk about that today. But also, as the show continues to progress in the 8:15 and 8:30 segments, we have to discuss the breaking news that was just came out. It was just posted on our social media pages that Terrell Williams, the Lions defensive line coach, is now leaving to become the defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. We got to get to that.
Exodus of coaches.
And you know what? We're going to get Rod Beard's opinion for about half an hour, 45 minutes about everything because, man, I'm sure Rod Beard's got a lot to say, and I just cannot wait because has anything happened recently in this town?
Man, I think something might have happened, but maybe we can ask him. He has a pretty good perspective as sports editor-in-chief of the Detroit News, but I do want to ask him, is Dan Campbell really this good? Because this coaching tree is about to be the best ever. Because also, you guys heard Hank Fraley and KG, don't leave us. Man. Calvin Shepard is coming up and stuff.
Yeah.
And people are like, it's so ambiguous because the report is that Calvin Shepard he's in line to become a defensive coordinator, but people don't know if that means with Aaron Glenn or here with wherever Aaron Glenn goes or here with the Lions. So, hey, you know what? Good on Dan Campbell. He has an eye for this type of thing, and that's what makes me confident that he will be able to do it again. And this is getting interesting for the Lions.
Oh, yeah, it's getting interesting. But it's the life of being a good team and a good organization. Your coaches, like, eventually, I'm guessing probably next week, we can do an entire autopsy on the coaching staff because I'm sure Terrell Williams isn't going to be last shoe to drop. But I'm guessing between now and Friday, we will be doing this kind of a show a lot. I mean, I actually had something different planned, but, this morning, literally a minute before the show, it's like, oh, breaking news, Terrell Williams is leaving to become the Patriots defensive coordinator. I'm just like, all right, let me take that show sheet and just Kobe that in the trash really quick, and we're going to talk mostly about Terrell Williams. But still a jam-packed show. But first, the Detroit Pistons, man. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to give them their proper flowers yesterday, but that was a hell of a win that they got at Houston, a team that is still second in the Western Conference. That went into that game was 28-13 and now 28-14. The Pistons had come off a couple of disappointing performances at home and losses, but made up for it with a win at Houston, which is the type of game that you don't necessarily expect to get. So it was definitely a very nice consolation prize after watching the divisional round playoff game on Saturday.
It definitely was. And, with these Detroit Pistons, what the win signified to me is something that I said when Jaden Ivey went down that I wanted to see. Obviously, you want to see Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren be enough to make up the difference because they always should have been. With how this thing was trending, when you talk about 35 to 40 wins on the season, that means that even if a Jaden Ivey goes down, they should have enough, especially when you put in this mix. I believe that Cade Cunningham should still be not just the straw that stirs the drink from a standpoint of facilitation, but also from scoring. When you saw him go on that bench in the third quarter is why you guys have heard me say this for years. He will get his assists. This team is better when they play off of Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
But who can defend this man? That mid-range is crazy. And now you got step-in three-pointers off the dribble. That was the last thing we were waiting for. We knew he was 40% from catch and shoot, but now you're talking about he's going to sauce you up off the pick and roll and step into a three-pointer. People were like, bro, he did this to Amen Thompson? And you know what? But you know what one of the replies said? Well, he practices against Asar and Ron Holland every single day on the wing.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? Cade Cunningham is definitely battle tested. We know who he works out with in the offseason. Shout out to Cannon. shout out to Ashton, shout out to Coach Jay and rank management, because those guys got multiple people in the NBA like Ron Holland and Anthony Black, in addition to Cade Cunningham and others right now that they have trained. And these guys are putting in that work. But shout out to Cade Cunningham. Shout out to Jalen Duren, too, man. I just want to be able to talk about him because the stocks have been going up. The play in the middle have been awesome, man. He had 4 steals and 2 blocks against the Rockets in a game that generally people are quick to say, oh, well, you know what? Alperen Sengun is just better than Jalen Duren. Our young talent with the Rockets is better than the Pistons. In this game, the Detroit Pistons showed so much character.
Well, that was what was so impressive to me, because if you would have told me before that game that Jalen Duren would objectively, by every major, outplay Alperen Sengun, I would have said absolutely not. I'm not saying that the Pistons wouldn't win, but it's like Sengun is clearly the better player right now. But Jalen Duren, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 8 of 8, 6 stocks, played probably his best game of the season on both ends of the floor. That was a huge factor in why the Pistons were able to win that game and why they were able to hold the Rockets to only 96 points. And you mentioned it, Cade Cunningham. After having a couple of subpar games by his standards, he completely makes it up to his team, goes for 32, 9 and 7, 12 of 22, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Had that absolutely sublime third quarter, that dunk that he had where he was talking smack afterwards. Like, you're seeing a more... Absolutely.
Absolutely. I was like, let's go Super Saiyan in, Cade.
And as you're as you said before, putting the moves on Amen Thompson, who is a hell of a defensive player in his own right, and adding some wrinkles to his game on top of his game that is already pretty well-rounded or very well-rounded. You absolutely love to see it, and that's one of the signs of a good team. You go in and you beat. I don't know if the Rockets are a championship contender, but by definition, by their place in the standings, they technically are. And they go in and beat them. And it's always something a little bit special going against the Houston Rockets. You've got the angle of the Asar versus Amen Thompson, which congratulations to the Thompson brothers. They're both having success in the NBA, or the Thompson twins, I should say, both having success in the NBA after there being some question about them and overtime elite and all that. They're answering for a lot of that. And the whole Cade Cunningham versus Jalen Green thing, that's not a question, by the way. There's no human being alive who should say that Jalen Green's better than Cade Cunningham.
And we've been saying this, all of us, I think, for a very long time. I know you have. I know JB has, and since KG's been here as well. And Kavasi Chase, has there ever been a question about Jalen Green or Cade Cunningham? Okay. He's instantly, no hesitation. He looked like Magic, just like, I ain't going to be here. But you know what? With Cade Cunningham, people were complaining about the turnovers in the first half, right? And then what did you see in the third quarter? Turnovers go down a little bit, and he looks so much more efficient. Why? Because what winds up happening is he loves to probe, and Rod Beard and I, we covered this when we first broke down his draft tape and saw who he was here, and even Terry Foster said it's kind of the same thing that Isaiah Thomas used to do, probe for his teammates. But when Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys were good, their teammates were much better than what Cade Cunningham has had to this point. And so it's like here, you get stuck in no man's land waiting for an assist to appear, and the defense, they're knowing this, and it's setting him up for some of the turnovers that we believe are careless. In the third quarter, when it was just like, you know what, let me just force the issue and make the gravity truly step up wide open, and those turnovers go way, way down. And so I do believe that with some players, forcing the issue is maybe not something that you want, but with Cade Cunningham, how smart he is, how efficient he is, and how he can always find the right person, I believe that him forcing the issue is actually a good thing for the Detroit Pistons.
No, I absolutely agree. And the only thing I would like to see him get better at is just splitting two defenders' paws. You know, I saw you drinking your tea. I saw you drinking your tea. But those are where a lot of his turnovers come from. When the double and triple teams come, like you said, he's trying to draw out defenses. He's trying to be able to set up stuff for his teammates. But there are times where I would wish to see him dribble through that and get to the rim, because we all know when Cade gets to the rim and he puts that body on somebody, it's over. It's over. So no, he's been way more aggressive in terms of just strong arming, getting to the basket when he needs to. We all know he's got the touch from mid range, but no, the improvements Cade has made this year is absolutely amazing, and they are the reason why we're seeing this Pistons team perform even better. Although he has better shooting now.
Yeah, and just I want to hear from the voice of reason as well, but just to back up your point on that dunk where he literally yelled at everybody. then stop to look at all of them to make
Yeah.
sure all of y'all know you, and you. What did he do? He split the defense.
Yeah. I want to see
Several
more of
times
that.
He split the defense with that weird reverse, that weird
It
reverse
works.
spin, dog. I'm like,
That shit
guys. What up, JB Smooth?
Oh no, I was just gonna add that, man, seeing Cade out there, this is nice. This is nice to have now, especially given all the news
I love it.
that has been going on earlier this week as well too. This is nice to see, and it's nice that SHAQ is even acknowledging this man as like, you are an all-star. Let me tell you, face to face, straight up, you are that. So hopefully we will see Cade in this all-star game coming up. But hey, just continue to do you, be who you are out there on the floor, facilitate, and everything should fall right into place. So Cade, just keep doing you, man.
The best thing is, and I know SHAQ gave Cade Cunningham his flowers to his face during that interview, and I've said this before, is that at this point with Cade Cunningham, I'm not even worried about him making the All-Star game. It's a formality at this point. What we should be talking about is potentially All-NBA and potentially even, and this is maybe a little bit of a bridge too far, but what if the Detroit Pistons, considering the talent around him, which is better than it has been, but still not as much as other players have, with the fact that Jaden Ivey's out, what if the Pistons actually do get the 5 or the 6 seed in the East? Where would Cade Cunningham rank in terms of MVP conversations?
He should be in it.
Like 5th, 6th,
Yeah.
7th, something
Yeah.
like that.
Of course, he wouldn't win the award
Right.
just,
No,
just
yeah, he's
based
not gonna
on
win
who
it.
he is right now, but absolutely he should be in the
Right.
conversation.
I mean, SGA is probably going to win it at
Yeah,
this point, and
yeah.
he's going to deserve to win it,
Yeah.
as long as it keeps up the way that it
But
is. But Cade's going to be in that conversation, at least like top 5 to 7 or 8 or something
He
like that.
deserves to be.
Yeah.
He has found himself so far over the last month, I guess, top 7, top 8. When you're looking at clutch points and you listen to people like Mark J. Spears, who is very, very well respected in this basketball community, say, should we be talking about this kid in the MVP conversation? That's huge, man, especially when it's coming from a voice like that. And then you start to hear from other players. Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan and others have been telling us this for a while. LeBron James has been telling us this for a while.
LeBron James.
Like, trust me, one of the most unique things about covering the Pistons is that you're not just covering the Pistons. You have access to both press conferences, and you get to hear exactly what each coach and each player feels about a Cade Cunningham. And I'm telling you guys, when it didn't look as bright from the outside, on the inside, every single coach that I was able to talk to or hear from, and the players that were stepped to the podium were all saying, that dude right there, y'all have one. Being able to go and talk to scouts in that building, shout out to my guy Fred. You've met Fred as well. You guys went there and met him. It's like, these guys are like, oh, no, Cade. Like, it's no question. We talk about some of the other young players, and there's questions to answer. But with Cade Cunningham, they're all like, we know that he's next up.
Yeah.
So to see him stepping into that right now, and to the point that realistically the conversation is instantly comparing him to Grant Hill and Isaiah Thomas, that's awesome. And you know why? Because the wins are there. There was another conversation on an NBA podcast, I forget which one, and they were discussing, I think it was with Shams and Lou Will.
Okay.
And they were discussing the fact that even though LaMelo Ball is putting up those stats, it's a reversal now. He's not winning. But what Cade Cunningham is doing with the stats, it's winning, and they do believe that that's why he should get so much more love this year than anything LaMelo Ball should get.
I was going to say, like, LaMelo Ball is having a heck of a year individually, has had a really nice career in his own right, but I would take Cade Cunningham 100 times out of 100 over LaMelo Ball. It's just, I think Cade Cunningham has a much higher basketball IQ. I think he's a much more well-rounded player. I think he's a much more efficient
Less
player.
volatile.
Without a shadow of a doubt. LaMelo Ball, and don't get me wrong, Cade put up a couple of very inefficient games the couple of games before this one against Houston, but with LaMelo Ball, he's just one that you worry sometimes that a 5 for 23 game is coming. I'm not saying he always does that. I'm not saying that he hasn't been fantastic this year. It's just that I don't know. You're not going to win with LaMelo Ball as your best player as high as you are with Cade Cunningham as your best player. You're just not. And I'm not saying that LaMelo Ball has a lot to work with, but I would say the rosters around them are pretty comparable.
I was about to say,
Yes.
he has had a lot more to work with, though, over what Cade Cunningham has
Brandon
had.
Miller.
Brandon Miller
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
turned into a player.
Miles Bridges.
Yep.
You know what?
yeah.
They've had some bigs.
That was a disservice to Cade. LaMelo's got more.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said even that. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, because we want to be fair. I like look, LaMelo is exciting. He has
Yes.
been an all-star. He has accomplished more than Cade Cunningham to this point. But from where we are going forward right now, and you see already Cade Cunningham is helping to lift this team along with the vets. That's the good thing, is that Jalen Duren is stepping up. Malik Beasley is look, this guy will have a heater for 4 or 5 games and maybe one cold and then right back to it. I love that. Do y'all remember the corpse of Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks?
Yeah.
Do y'all remember wondering, like, are we ever going to get Monte Morris? Like, I'm glad that it's Marcus Sasser stepping up right now. So JB Bickerstaff got a lot of credit last night as well from Cade Cunningham. He gets a lot of credit from this team every time we ask him about him. It's almost to the point where you want to keep asking the team about him, but you know it's going to be the same thing, that look, he's just the man. We just listen to him. Everything he said is right. The same thing that we hear from the Lions players when they talk about Dan Campbell.
Absolutely. And before we move on to the whole Terrell Williams to the Patriots thing, I just I didn't expect that we'd bring him into conversation, so I didn't have his exact numbers on deck. I just knew they weren't as efficient as Cade's. But LaMelo Ball, 42% from the floor, 34% from three.
Ooh.
Not as many assists. It's just... That's kind of what he is.
Is Cade leading the league in assists right now? I believe he might be.
Is it him or Jokic? I forgot.
Yesterday.
Is it Cade?
Oh
my goodness.
be, man. And look, we do got the Woodward Pistons segment.
Hey,
I forgot about that. We will get there. Sheesh, man. Hey, let's say what up down to some friends, and let's get into what made Flannel have to ball up the show sheet and throw it away.
Yes, but KG, I didn't give you 1,800, or did I?
Oh, yeah.
I did. Okay,
I got
yes.
you. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry, because 1,800 Tequila is the official tequila of Woodward Sports Lions watch parties and post-game show.